Now, as I mentioned yesterday in my video on the wet fart known as Boris Johnson, both YouTubers, Active Patriot and Little Veteran got arrested in Penally, Wales. This happened while bringing attention to the fact that the Home Office are moving illegal immigrants from Dover into a disused army barracks there. All of this was done without consulting the community, and when the local council tried to object, the Home Office ignored them and did it anyway. There are even many reports in the local papers pointing out the obvious fact that most of the local community does not support this move and are now scared for their safety, and rightly so. The chances of a Birmingham, Reading or Glasgow incident have now increased in that area exponentially. People's houses literally back up onto the camp, and as far as I can tell, these illegal immigrants are able to come and go as they please, even buying beers from the local shops. Now, you would think, since they clearly broke multiple laws coming to the UK, they would all be under lock and key, but no, this is the UK, they have more rights than we do. I mean, a question I find myself asking is, how many just walk off, never to be seen again? That is not something the Home Office is going to tell you, much like when they literally stuck 250 young men in a village containing 800 mostly retired residents without a care in the world for their safety. There are also reports suggesting this move by the Home Office has cost people the sale of their home, as people no longer want to buy a house next to a camp of 250 illegal immigrants, which obviously will cause the knock-on effect of lowering house prices in the area drastically. That is also being reported. 100k's worth of value vanished in days according to one resident. Now, Active Patriot has a video up explaining what happened to him in relation to his arrest and the underhanded tricks the police and criminal justice system played trying to get him sent straight to prison on some utter bullshit that I won't be able to do justice covering here. So I will link that video in the description for you to check out and show some support to him. The guys down there need your support 100% right now for the work they are putting in and the harassment they are getting from the old bill. Now, the BBC picked up on this a couple of times in the last few days with the usual far-right extremist label that essentially means you are not a lefty scumbag. They also picked up on the arrests while screaming about the far-right mostly, so there's no point in even reading that. But we will check out a Wales Online article that shows the local community do not support this, obviously shitting on the BBC's narrative that these are far-right extremists. The article headlines how Penally feels about asylum seekers being housed at a military camp according to the people who live there. News that a sleepy village in West Wales would be welcoming up to 250 asylum seekers over the coming days and weeks sparked an angry and emotional debate that has sometimes got out of control. It is a debate that has largely been conducted on social media and has often failed to acknowledge how and why the 800-odd residents of Penally in Pembrokeshire itself are feeling the way they are. The speed of the developments over the past 7 days has left many of those residents, nearly 2/3 of who are retired, reeling in shock, which, as I said, mostly retired people live in this area, and the government have just gone and stuck 250 fighting-age men right next to them. Many in their 70s and 80s have been left in a state of confusion, not clued up on social media, and left waiting for information by phone or post. One elderly couple who are selling their house and had a sale agreed had gone away to visit family last weekend, only to return to Penally on Monday, where all hell had let loose. They did not want to be identified for fear of reprisals, but as the elderly grandmother described how the sale had fallen through by Friday, she broke down in tears on her doorstep. They phoned us up and said they were pulling out, and the reason they gave us was because of the camp coming to the village, she said. The news that 250 asylum seekers, all of whom will be male, aged 18 to 35, will be staying at the mod barracks next door has left her worried. We are not racists, of course we're not, but it's what people perceive, and you can see it does worry people, added her husband. You can see it's in people's minds just by the fact that our house sale has fallen through. And obviously, guys, we know they're not racist. This has got fuck all to do with people's races. It's just the principle that these fuckers do not belong in this country, and they certainly do not belong in a small village in Wales where they almost outnumber the population living there. And there is also something else that we have to factor in. If these 250 asylum seekers band together and start causing trouble, the local police force are not going to be able to deal with it. Let me tell you that for nothing. It continues, not everyone is fearful, however, and on Sunday afternoon, the day after a number of protests against the plans were held in Penally and Tenbury's Tudor Square, there was a public gesture of welcome on Tenby South Beach. Organised by campaign group Stand Up to Racism Wales, it was an opportunity for many Penally residents to show their support for the plans and counter those who have brought their hate to Pembrokeshire in a direct attempt to divide our community. It says more than 100 people gathered on the beach to publicly show their support for the arrivals in a climate where people are reluctant to speak out because of fear and intimidation, said one of the organisers, Patrick Connellan. And here we have the picture of these so-called 100 protesters on the beach. Let me tell you, I am questioning right now that they had 100 people. It doesn't even look like they had 50 people by this picture. The article continues though, to understand how people feel in Penally, Penally, first of all, requires an understanding of the village itself. The converted barracks isn't just near the village, the boundary fence quite literally acts as garden boundaries for many houses in Penally Heights. Residents can hear conversations on the other side, and some can even see right into the cabins from their bedroom windows. Which that there utterly shits on the BBC's "this is near the village." It is literally part of the village, stuck almost right bang in the middle of it. The Conservative voting village is long and surprisingly wide, set back from the main road between Tenby and Pembroke. Many of the houses are built on a slope with views over the sand dunes of Tenby's South Beach and Corrie Island beyond. It is a place where people are happy to leave their door unlocked while they pop over to the neighbours for a chat and let their children disappear for the afternoon on bikes and scooters. Well, they might want to rethink that now, let me tell you. The village is home to around 800 people and is flanked by 2 large campsites. Tourism is a major part of the economy here, and Penally is just a mile from Tenby, the jewel in the crown of Wales tourism. Mr. Williams has lived in Penally with his wife Denise for 8 years. He can't understand why the mod facility is being converted in the heart of Pembrokeshire's tourist attractions. Well, I will tell you why the government is doing this right now. They are doing this because they think the public are going to be happier about it than them sticking them in hotels. In my opinion, this is a response to the outrage surrounding the 48,000 of them that are currently sitting in hotels around the country. The Home Office stupidly thought that this would be a better idea. Obviously, it's fucking not. And as you can hear from the residents themselves here, they really don't agree with what the Home Office are doing here. They are certainly not on the side of the BBC, who call everyone far right that disagrees with these migrants being put in this camp. They continue, "This will affect tourism, without a doubt," he said. His house is towards the top of the estate, immediately next door to the Penally camp. The barbed wire perimeter fence of the compound peeps over his garden wall, and every window of his family home looks into the camp. The couple have a small annex which they let out to holiday makers. "Who's going to want to come here on holiday now?" he asked. "My wife won't stay in the house on her own, and we've hardly slept with worry since it was announced." Miss Williams agreed. "We are devastated," she said. "I've had some elderly neighbours calling me in tears down the phone. This is nothing to do with racism, this is about our rights. No one in their right mind thinks it's got anything to do with racism. That's just the media trying to shut down what you want to say." There is a strong feeling that the people of Penally have been largely ignored by the Home Office. Well, the Home Office has literally ignored the entire country that are essentially against this. Rumours first surfaced of plans to turn the training camp into a centre for asylum seekers last weekend, prompted in part by unusual activity inside the compound. It was the first Penally councillor Jonathan Prescott had heard of the plans, and so too for South Pembrokeshire MP and Secretary of State for Wales Simon Hart. Pembrokeshire Council's Chief Executive Ian Wesley was also only made aware of the plans thanks to local rumours late on September 11th, he said. So the Home Office are essentially telling absolutely no one about it, just sneaking it through. Even the South Pembrokeshire MP and Secretary of State for Wales wasn't even told, showing just what sort of snakish behaviour that the Home Office are up to, in my opinion. And the labels by the BBC that anyone who disagrees with this is far right is just a way to discredit anyone who tries to go against it. It says, "On Friday, Miss Morgan said the decision to select Penally training camp was taken solely by the Home Office without any prior discussion with Welsh or local government. I am concerned also at the lack of consultation with the local community." Well, the reason they didn't consult the local community is because they would likely tell them swiftly to go fuck themselves. Mr. Williams says it was done in an underhand way, and it is that which bothers some people just as much as the 250 men due to arrive at the camp who are actually already there. Now, there is just story after story in this article of people who are not very happy with this. I will link it down below because I don't have time to go through all of them. The video will be about 2 hours long. It does also have a couple of ones that are trying to defend the migrants here, but it would appear they are in the minority. Surprise, surprise there. But I do want to bring up what the First Minister for Wales, Mark Drakeford, the tosspot, has said, because obviously he is now calling all of these people that live in this village a bunch of far-right fascists essentially. Mr. Drakeford agreed the site was unsuitable but blamed the Home Office for its handling of the situation, saying his request for a 2-week delay for the housing was blocked. It has led to Tenby becoming the target for hard-right extremist groups from right across the United Kingdom who've heard about this and think this is a cause that they can latch onto and exploit, he said. No, that is not what they are doing. They are covering what's going on because the media fucking refuse to do it properly. You are just a jumped up tosspot that doesn't defend what the people of your country want. At the end of the day, like Nicola Sturgeon, you are just a puppet doing what suits you best. He continued, "These people are not welcome welcome in Wales, and I hope that we will soon be in a position to make sure that the police take the necessary action to make sure they cannot inflame local sentiments, he added. So get ready for it, guys. They're going to be trying to use more dirty tricks to arrest these guys when they're down there. Be careful, little veteran and active patriot. Mr. Drakeford was responding to questions from Carmarthen West and South Pembrokeshire member of the Send, Angela Burns, who said there were shocking scenes at the camp on Monday night with people bust in from outside with very unpleasant political agendas. No, the only people with unpleasant political agendas are the scumbags that are in power, let me tell you that. Some local people have also said they felt the protests were being led by people from outside the area. One man who did not want to be named said, "People who live here are calmer about it all now." Well, based around what I was just reading, I think you are talking a load of shit, mate. The BBC have hunted you down because you spout the right sort of narrative. Now, this is also happening down in Napier Barracks in Kent, which I will have a separate video on soon. This video already has gone on too long. To add it onto the end would mean most people don't watch it, which is obviously not good when you're trying to get the information out there. But remember, as I said, guys, go and support Active Patriot and Little Veteran and any of the other guys down there who are putting in the work. With the way the police are acting and what you heard from the Welsh Minister in the article I read through, they are certainly going to need your help because they might be the targets of some overzealous policing, not like they haven't been already. And as you saw by the articles I was reading through, it is the local population that do not support this. It's got fuck all to do with people coming down there. They are down there just to bring a spotlight to it because the local population does not have a big enough voice.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.